Hello and welcome to the Minimum Competence episode for Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. I'm your host for today, Gina Leahy, a real estate and finance attorney from Philadelphia. In today's episode, we have an easing up on banks and firms that self-report white-collar crimes, bankruptcy failing to discharge debt from spousal fraud, California trying to rein in AI, and NFT security news. Let's go fly a kite over today's stories. Wall Street's top federal prosecutors have introduced a new policy aimed at encouraging banks and firms to self report possible white collar crimes early. The voluntary self disclosure policy incentivizes companies to come forward with misconduct before it becomes known to the public or prosecutors and fully cooperate. In return, firms that self report and cooperate could receive significant benefits in any resulting deal, such as not being required to plead guilty to a crime, receiving a lower sentencing recommendation, or avoiding charges altogether. The policy applies to every U.S. Attorney's office in the country and formalizes goals set forth in a September memo revising the government's approach to corporate criminal enforcement policies. The leniency to companies that self disclose and cooperate does not extend to the individuals involved in the wrongdoing. Wall Street's top prosecutors hope the criteria gives companies a clearer roadmap of when they should come forward and what benefits they can expect. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in a unanimous decision that a bankrupt California woman cannot use bankruptcy to discharge the debt incurred through her husband's fraudulent conduct in a home sale. The Bankruptcy Code generally allows debtors to discharge pre-bankruptcy liabilities, but there is an exception for fraud. The woman's attorney had argued that imputing liability to her from her husband's fraud would amount to a financial death sentence for her and others in similar situations. Despite claims that she was unaware of her husband's fraudulent actions, the justices found that the exception for situations in which the debt was incurred through fraud extends to her. Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote in the opinion that Congress has concluded that creditors' interests in recovering full payments of debts obtained by fraud outweighs the debtor's interests in a complete, fresh start. As artificial intelligence becomes increasingly prominent in everyday life, the California Civil Rights Department has proposed new regulations to tackle automation's hiring bias, which would make a business liable for its own automated decision systems as well as those used by third-party vendors. The regulations would prohibit AI systems from using protected characteristics such as age, race, or sexual orientation, or any data associated with those characteristics. Records and data around AI would have to be maintained for 4 years, and the use of personality tests or puzzles driven by AI would be banned for pre-job offers. There are concerns that vendors may not want to turn over proprietary or confidential software, and more guidance is required on what constitutes algorithmic bias for audits. 2 California agencies are focusing on privacy issues around AI and exploring subjects such as risk assessments and cybersecurity. California legislators have filed at least 3 bills aimed at regulating the use of AI among state agencies, potentially filling gaps not covered by the regulatory process. These bills would set an example for the private sector, whose hiring and employment decisions are increasingly influenced by AI. Dapper Labs, the creator of the NBA's Top Shot NFTs, is facing a lawsuit accusing it of selling unregistered securities. The plaintiffs allege that Dapper violated U.S. securities law by offering Top Shot moments without registering them with regulators and by improperly using its control over the collectibles. U.S. District Judge Victor Marrero denied a request by Dapper to throw out the case before trial, finding that the plaintiffs had adequately alleged that the NFTs are securities. The judge stated that the trading of the NFTs is limited to the company's blockchain and that purchasers therefore rely on Dapper's expertise and management, as well as its continued existence. The decision appears to be the first addressing whether NFTs are securities, but Marrero cautioned that it doesn't mean all of them are. Top Shot was launched in 2020 and became an overnight success, and since then, it has enjoyed $982 million in trading volume, according to tracker DappRadar. Thanks so much for listening to Minimum Competence, your daily news podcast for lawyers. If you're looking for more than minimum competence, links to further reading on all of the topics touched on today are in our show notes. If you have any questions or story suggestions, find us on Mastodon on the esq.social instance. I'm at Gina, and my co host Andrew is at Andrew. Reviews go a long way towards helping new listeners to find our show. If you have a moment and can leave a rating or review on your podcast player, we'd appreciate it. And if you know someone that might be interested in a story we cover, consider sending them the episode. Minimum Competence is part of the Esquire Cast network of podcasts and streams on esqstream.com. We'll see you back here tomorrow, and until then, remember, a spoonful of sugar helps the minimum competence go down.